Hey there guys, welcome to a brand new YouTube video where today I'm going to be talking about my new lens. It's a Canon 85mm F1.8 lens, and you might be thinking, why did I buy this lens? I've already got so many lenses already. If you've got me on Snapchat, then you will know I've got quite a few lenses. And basically I bought this lens because it's really good for portraiture. It's an 85mm focal length, so obviously it's quite isolated, it's quite zoomed in. What that means is that you can really get close in on people's faces and sort of their top half, or even body shots. If you wanted to do that head to toe, you can do that as well. It's also got that really fast aperture of f1.8, which means that it's going to be really good for low light photography, also good for isolating subjects. I think that mix of having the f1.8 aperture and the 85mm focal length means that you can really make your subjects pop and stand out, which of course for portrait photography isn't a must, but it really helps. And testing that out, that's something that I've noticed has been really great on this lens, and a massive pro for it. Where did I get it from? I got it from a website called mpb.com. It's basically eBay but for camera stuff. It's where I've bought a couple of lenses before. I've got my 5D Mark I from there as well. It retails for about 350 to 400, but I actually managed to pick this up for 160 quid because it said it was in well-used condition, but when it came, it was actually surprisingly good. I don't even think I recognised that it's been used that much, so it was a real bargain, and I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. And how does it perform? Really well. It performs great. From all the testing that I've done so far, it's actually performed really nicely, and I'm sure that over time I'll get to grips with it more, because 85mm isn't something that I've worked with before. I've primarily worked with a 50 and a 35, and I think when you transition to a new focal length and start using that primarily, it does take a bit of time to adjust to and learn, but much like how it took a while for me to get used to 50, and now I think I'm really good at taking photos with that focal length. So it's a bit of a learning curve, but I think that'll be okay once I got to grips with it. The pros of this lens would probably be the price. If you can pick it up used or even brand new for £400, it's a bit of a steal. I'd say that anything under that is a really great deal. Because it's an EF mount, you can stick it onto a Canon crop sensor camera, which is really nice. So I can put it on my 200D, and then I can also put it on my 5D Mark I. Because it's an EF mount, it's actually going to be a great investment for the future, because it means if I ever upgrade to something like an EOS R, with the EF adapter I can put this lens on it, but at the same time I can stick it on my dad's 1000D, which means that I can just basically put it on as many cameras as Canon makes, which is pretty good. Then we move on to build quality. Although it's made out of plastic, it's a really hard wearing plastic, and when you pick it up you can feel that this is like a hefty bit of glass. I really don't have any problems in trusting this thing, taking good photos or taking it out in harsh conditions. It's not weather sealed, bear in mind, but it's still quite durable. Autofocus. It uses the USM motor, which a lot of Canon L series lenses have. I find this to be really reliable, especially when paired with the dual pixel autofocus system on the 200D. It's super snappy and reliable. On the 5D Mark I, it's still quite fast actually. It doesn't shoot video, so I wouldn't know about shooting video in full frame. Another pro of this lens is the fact that it's got full-time manual focus override. So if you're autofocusing and you can't just get it on the place that you want it to focus, you can press the button down, have it autofocus, and then turn the focus ring as you want it, and then you can get it focused on that exact point, which is really useful. The focus ring is also really smooth on this thing. It's not a cine lens, so it's not that smooth, but I'd say as far as photography lenses go, it's pretty smooth and reliable. The color reproduction, although it's a little bit on the more saturated side, the colors out of this lens are really nice. That's all down to the 5D and the 200D having really nice image reproduction, as a lot of the Canon cameras have. But yeah, but I found that the color reproduction out of this lens is really nice, although it's a little bit saturated, but that's nothing that a bit of post-production editing can't fix. The aperture, obviously I talked about this before, I'll just quickly go over it again. It's got the f1.8 aperture, which means it's really good for low light photography and isolating subjects, especially when paired with that telephoto focal length. It's really nice for making your subjects pop out, and yeah, really good. What are the cons of this lens? I'd say there was only really one massive downside about this lens. Probably something called chromatic aberration. If you don't know what that is, I'll just quickly go over that very quickly. So chromatic aberration is where if you're using lower apertures, especially on this lens, below f2.8 and below, some of the edges of like lines and things on people's faces and objects can get these really unsightly green and purple fringing along the side of it. There is a tool that you can use in Lightroom called remove chromatic aberration, which is obviously does what it says. But as far as straight out of camera results from this lens fare with chromatic aberration, it is a little bit noticeable. It's nothing really bad. Like, I'd still recommend this lens. It's a great lens for the price and it's really good quality for what you're paying, but that's just something to be aware of if you were looking at purchasing this lens. Personally, I found it to be great, but other than that, I was actually out shooting in Greenwich Park today. I went out to Greenwich University, some of the buildings there. We went into the painted hall and I actually ended up dropping my 35 1.4 with an ND filter on it, and the 85 as well. I'll just play this clip quickly so you can listen to what happened. So I'm in Greenwich and I was just taking some photos in the painted hall, just over that way, and went to change lenses and I had a little bit of a crisis. I forgot to shut my bag properly, and my two lenses fell out. My 85 1.8, which I got literally the other day, and my 35 1.4, which I've had for a while. But the 35 hit the ground like face first, and glass went everywhere. And my initial reaction, like the exact sound that came out of my mouth was, oh my god. So I went and picked it up, and I saw that I actually buggered like the entire front of my ND filter. If you can see that, this is open up. You can see there. And there was glass like literally everywhere. Come on, focus. So yeah, bit of a bummer. It's going to cost me about a tenner, but lesson learned: always shut your camera bag before two lenses come crashing out and you break an ND filter. Not fun. Okay, so that has been a quick review of my new lens, my Canon 85mm f1.4 lens. So if you've enjoyed this video, leave me a thumbs up, and if you've got any further questions on this lens or just photography or anything camera related in general, please do feel free to put it down in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.